Patrick Ewing representing the Knicks. They picked 3rd overall. David Griffin, the new GM of New Orleans, they're number 1 overall, and Memphis will be 2. Knicks draft picks in the top 3 since 1966, and you see a top 3 overall pick is a rarity. Cassie Russell, number 1 overall in 66. Bill Cartwright in 79 with 3rd overall. Ewing, of course, number 1 overall in 85. And this year, the Knicks, at least for now, will pick 3rd overall. All right, Texas Tech coach Chris Beard had a great year. In fact, he led Texas Tech to the national title game. He's a national coach of the year. And here against Duke at MSG in December, he coached against the Blue Devils. And the coach is now joining us on the phone and coached against Zion Williamson and R.J. Barrett and also Cam Reddish. And, Coach, when you look at the Knicks at number 3 overall, your thoughts on the possibility of R.J. Barrett? In that game against you guys, he went for 16 points.
Oh, he's a special player. He, you know, in scouting, you have a chance to watch all the games, and certainly being able to coach against him in person, he was as good as advertised. And, you know, with our team, we spent a lot of time studying Duke's team and listening to Coach K, his press conferences and things like that. There's a lot of wisdom, and I would just simply say Coach had such a high opinion of him, and that's kind of where our opinion started. But I think he could be a two-way player in the NBA and certainly an all-star one day with all that talent.
Well, Coach, a guy that you had this year in Big 12 Player of the Year in Jarrett Culver. Now, he's a guy for me that I looked at, and I was talking about him throughout the tournament as far as his potential on both sides of the ball at the next level. Now, he didn't shoot particularly well, obviously struggled a little bit during the Final Four. But what can you say about him that you think is going to really transfer to that next level in the NBA?
Culver's the real deal. You know, he's made me look like a fortune teller the last few years, but, you know, a non-top 100 recruit to the lottery 2 years later, made a lot of predictions over the years, you know, that we could make a Final Four with Jarrett, that he could be a lottery pick one day, that he could be, you know, Big 12 Player of the Year. So I don't want to put a lot of pressure on his shoulders, but he can handle it. But I predict that he'll be an NBA All-Star one day, and nobody respects the NBA more than me, and I understand how good the players are, and I understand what a strong statement that is. But I had the pleasure of coaching Jarrett for 2 years, and he's just special. It starts with his character, what kind of person he is, the love of the game he has. He studies the game, and then he's certainly very, very, very talented. And I've always thought, you know, when character intersects with extreme talent, you know, special is possible. And that's certainly what we did at Texas Tech the last 2 years with Jarrett, and I predict the same success in his professional career.
Coach, congratulations on a great season. You did a great job, especially on the defensive end of the floor. Your team was phenomenal to watch, not only on defense, but both ends. Now, if you're the Knicks, you know college basketball. You know the top players pretty much, mostly in the Big 12. Do you think R.J. Barrett is the guy that they should draft?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and stay loyal. I mean, I think, you know, no disrespect to any other player in the draft, but if Jarrett Culver's available in those spots, you know, I think Zion's the clear-cut one. He's a one every couple decade type player, but Jarrett's special, guys. I mean, he's just getting started. He's young. He's still developing. His best basketball is ahead of him, and he's just a winner. You know, I mean, if I'd have told you guys a couple years ago, hey, this non-ranked 6'6", 170-pound kid's going to take Texas Tech to the national championship game 2 years later, not many people would listen. But I'm telling you, he's got the same ceiling in the next 2 years. Plays on both ends of the floor. You know, when you're Big 12 Player of the Year as a sophomore and you help Texas Tech win the Big 12, you know, I think your talent speaks for itself.
Coach Culver, of course, and your group went up against Virginia in the national title game. In that contest for Virginia, DeAndre Hunter went for a career-high 27. Where do you think he might slot in the NBA lottery and in the NBA draft?
Yeah, in my opinion, he's right there in the same conversation. You know, he's special, and in our game, obviously, he played really well on the defensive end of the floor, which obviously you have to play for Coach Bennett at Virginia, but he was as good as advertised. Just preparing for that game over the weekend in Minneapolis, we understood what a defender he appeared to be, but in person he was every bit as good or better. So I think he can really play NBA defense, you know, tonight if needed. And then on the offensive end, you know, the national championship game came down to so many just ISOs, you know, players making plays. So I think he's a can't-miss NBA player, in my opinion.
And, Coach, let's go back to Jarrett, because one of the things for me when you look at kind of evaluating guys, you look at the talent, you see what they do on the floor, but it's those intangible things that that they're going to put in and develop their game. One of the stories I remember you telling during the tournament was how Jarrett Culver would get on a plane and be studying and wanting to watch film after you guys had already played. Can you briefly just talk about why you think that kind of work ethic or dedication will help him evolve and potentially, one day become an all-star like you said?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the head. There's two things with Jarrett. It's love of the game. I think a lot of people play the game for what it can give you. But just a few select really, really love it. And Jarrett's one of those guys. I mean, it's his faith and his family, and then it's basketball. He has zero vices. He doesn't have a lot of distractions. He's just a guy that loves the game. And the stories just go on and on and on, whether it's, coming back from the Final Four. We got back on Tuesday morning. He's in the gym by Tuesday afternoon. It's the day before he leaves to go work out with his trainers and agent, and it's he's in the gym 3 times and love it that day before he leaves. It's just stories you can't make up. The guy loves the game. Nobody outworks him. Nobody. And then the study in the game is really where he made the great stride between his freshman year in college to sophomore year, national championship game, lottery pick. He just simply he loves to study the game. He's a guy that if you tell him something one time, he catches it. If he sees something on video, he can add it to his game quickly. Spends a lot of time not only watching himself, but he watches his opponents and he watches great players. Jarrett Culver knows a lot about the NBA already. He's almost kind of his story into the game, which is kind of rare in today's world with these guys. Jarrett can tell you about the NBA in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. He studied the game. It's just another part of his champion DNA.
Hey, Coach, thanks so much for all your time tonight. We can't thank you enough. Congratulations on a great year and continued success for you and your team next season.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Coach.
Texas Tech coach Chris Beard loves his Jarrett Culver.
Yes, he does.
Yes,
he should.
Rightfully so.
This guy can play.
For more great videos from the MSG 150, check out right there. And remember, our show is on Monday through Thursday, 8 to 10:30 p.m. on MSG Network and MSG Go.